Betsy, what have you done in your political or professional career that will prove to the minority voters and citizens that you understand their needs and priorities?
Well, in both my volunteer career and my political career, I've always had an open door. I've always had an outreach. I've answered every person that sends me an email or calls me. You can reach me. I believe as your mayor or as your tax assessor or as a community volunteer, you must be open, committed, and caring. I've worked on many, many programs. I've worked in many different schools. We've been out there. We will continue to be out there. That's what a good mayor does, rolls up their sleeves, gets out in the community, opens a dialogue, and talks and listens to you. And that's what we've been doing as your tax assessor.
Well, as I have no governmental experience, but on a personal level, you know, as a videographer, you go out into the African American, Latino communities, you work with the theater groups out there and the production groups out there. The most important thing is there is no indifference, there is no discrimination. You treat them all equally. You don't see them as minorities or anything else. You see them simply as citizens who are willing to work and contribute, and that's how, if I'm so fortunate to be elected, would approach it. You have to look at each and every person for their own unique talents and gifts, opinions, ideas, and know that they are working hard to contribute back to this city that they love and care about.
Well, this one's kind of, you know, everybody can tell you the great things they've done. But I chose to, when I got out of the Army, to move into a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood. And when I went on the city council, we fought that first round of MWBEs. You know, that was not an easy proposition. There was a lot of resistance to that when we created that particular ordinance. I watched it be successful there, and then when I went on the Tarrant Regional Water District Board, I found that we had no MWBE program out there either. And with this Trinity River Vision project, we have one now. It's over 40% is minority participation. I guess the easiest way to answer that question is those, say my next door neighbors are black, the people across the street from me are Hispanic, my little boy speaks Spanish, and he's grown up in a black church. And I've been mentoring 3 young black kids for 10 years, and they're very successful. They've gotten out of high school, they're in college, and they're doing great. And I think everybody ought to do that. Everybody ought to take on a mentorship, personally.
Well, I have both experience from a professional point of view and also community involvement that's extensive in the minority communities throughout Fort Worth. I served on the Fort Worth City Council, as I mentioned, and my council represented 50% of the population was Hispanic. All up and down the Hemp Hill corridor, we worked with the neighborhoods along that corridor and extensively. When I first arrived to Fort Worth, I worked with the law firm and we represented the Fort Worth Independent School District, and my responsibility was involving schools all throughout the city of Fort Worth, so I had experience there. With regard to my community involvement, I agree with Jim. I think everybody ought to be involved with their community, and I've had the good fortune of being able to be involved in several parts of our community. I was the president of the Fort Worth League of Neighborhoods. I went into neighborhoods all throughout the city. I currently serve as the board chair of Catholic Charities, and we work with significant issues in the minority community. I'm the chair of Communities in Schools, and we also do that. So I feel like I have the experience both professionally and from my private community involvement to be able to reach out to the minority communities.
It would be a little bit disingenuous for me to tell you, sitting here as a middle-aged white guy, that I know what it's like, that I have experienced the minority experience. I haven't. But I did have the opportunity when I was in the legislature to walk every single inch of my district. My wife Deborah and I walked it until she broke her ankle and couldn't walk. But and during that experience and during the interim and working with the committees, I developed a passion for public service that involved trying to be as empathetic as I could with everyone that I represented in the district. And that capacity for empathy is something that I'll bring to the mayor's office, and that I will do my absolute level best to bring to every community that I represent, whether it's African American or Hispanic or Vietnamese or any other community.